I've been exploring with cold opens. Is that what I said last time, Brennick?
Yes.
Where we just don't even do an intro. I hate doing intros so much. They suck.
There's that awkward silence that occurs where no one knows really what to do or how to feel.
Yeah, it's like just a matter of us sitting there, and then one of us goes, and then I have to talk to an audience who isn't here until the video comes out, and it's embarrassing. And like, like when we went to Manitoba, like I filmed a bunch of shit. I was like, this is cool. I'll make a video out of this. And I was very like, I have to get everything done before we start hanging out with Ashley because I'm not whipping out a camera. And that's what we did. I got like 45 minutes of footage before, and then I cut it down to 20, and I recorded. I somehow managed to put a bit in that video where I pee my pants. So I managed to find a way to fit that in at the end there. So I'm pretty excited for it, actually. But, man, yeah, I can't stand doing that shit. So well, anyway, I'm going to do it now. Hi, Bree. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm very good. Thank you. Brennick, how are you today?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you, sir. Before I've got stuff to talk about with Brennick. We got a few stories to tell. But before that, we're joined by Bree Romans from Breezexotics, which, by the way, I only just realized that it's kind of like a double. Your name is like your name, but it's also like Breeze. I was like, oh my God, this is awesome. I only just clued into that.
Yeah, that came from my mom when I was a kid called me Breezy. So it
Okay.
just kind of like breezy, and then I didn't know what else to put, so I just threw exotics at the end.
It works. It really works. There's been a few names. I can't think of any off the top of my head, but there's been a few names like that recently where I'm like, that name has two meanings.
Yeah, it's like it was one of those.
Yeah, that's a good one. It's a good one. But you're also doing you're under the Jungle Vault too, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I find our logo is kind of interesting because people think it's like the wrong way. It's hard to see, but yeah, the Jungle
We'll put
Vault
it in
is
the. I'll put it in post as well.
the Jungle Vault is myself and my partner Mike Taitula.
I've been saying titular for 10 fucking years. Well, I guess it's better late than never, right? Taitula.
I can't blame me for that one. We have a couple friends where we were saying their name wrong for several years, and it wasn't until like a few years later they're like, "You're saying it wrong," and I was like, "You're supposed to say that like at the beginning. Don't let us say that for several years before you say something."
It's good I figure that out now because like I messaged Mike a few months ago, and I only just remember this now because he was like, "Hey, who's like playing Arc Raiders?" And I was like, "I'm playing Arc Raiders," and he was like, "Send me your thing," and it would have been sucked if I said titular to his face. So it's good that I figure that out now.
Well, he doesn't play Arc Raiders anymore, so the end.
Neither do I. Neither do I. I
was very
lasted like a
short-lived.
month, and then I was like, "This game is just pissing me off way too much." Like it is.
I think it was the same thing.
It got so sweaty so fast. Anyway, could you tell us a little bit about Breezexotics and the Jungle Vault? Which amount of either that you go ahead.
So myself, I've been keeping reptiles for 15 years. I never really posted about it. This was obviously back when Instagram wasn't really like you posted the odd thing on there. So I originally just started out with a gargoyle gecko and then got a couple other geckos. And then I just wanted to start posting more on Instagram. So Breezexotics started there. The Jungle Vault started about 6 years ago now, with Mike when he moved over here, and we kind of just like merged our two collections into one, which is a mix of everything behind is myself and his, and then our shared kind of projects. So the Jungle Vault is like the business side of things, but of course, like we both kind of run the business through our own personal Instagrams and stuff. So yeah, we're kind of just like a combined unit here.
Yeah, which is awesome because I follow you, Mike, and like the Jungle Vault, and getting the posts from all three is pretty sweet.
And because I'm a real lazy social media poster, I just duplicate everything on my page onto the Jungle Vault page. So if you're following one, you're probably seeing both.
Yeah. Could you just give us a quick run through of like, if you missed them, it's whatever, but some of the species you're working with, maybe like the main ones?
Yeah, so the main ones are Western Hognose, I guess with a splash of Mexican Hognose in there. And I've currently got a very gravid female gray-banded king snake, so we have a group of those. We got a ton of grass lizards. Those are Mike's project, but we have
Ooh.
Tachydramus smaragdinus and Tachydramus dorsalis. So two grass lizard species, and that's Mike's big passion project. We've got on the tanks back there, there's two groups of Uromastics and a blue tongue skink, which was one of my first reptiles. He's just a pet. We've got, oh gosh, dart frogs, red-tailed green rat snakes, Chihuahua geckos, which were another very original pet for me, and I've just been kind of breeding and working with them for some time now. Malagasy rain frogs. Look around, fish scale geckos. We got a bunch of those. Black-breasted leaf turtles, a white-lipped python, a super dwarf retic, an emerald tree boa, lots of house snakes as an upcoming project. There is a tortoise putzing around here. And cave racers. I think I missed those. Cave racers and a bamboo rat, and tons of shovel-nosed snakes.
Yeah, the shovel-nosed snakes are like probably my favorite project that you're doing, but we're not going to talk about them because CCR did a wicked episode on them. So go listen to
I was like,
that.
I could talk about those all day.
I
It's a
know they're
wildly
so
unsuccessful
cool.
project right now, but big fan of
They
them.
all are
too.
though till they're not, right? So
I keep
we'll
my
get there.
fingers crossed. I told myself I would never give up on it, so I've kind of
Yeah.
like dug my own grave here.
Yeah, it's and so at the time that this episode releases, you'll have 2 CCR episodes because that's supposed to come
Sweet.
out this week.
I'm doing it
It's supposed
Wednesday,
to be recorded
so yeah.
Wednesday. So and then this will be released 3 weeks from today, I think, is when this
Okay.
one is set to release. Is it Tuesday today?
Monday. I wish.
So-
You got me so excited for a sec.
Yeah, I just ruined my day too. So 3 weeks from tomorrow it'll be released. But so at that point there'll be 2 CCR episodes with you on it. And was the CCR episode you did a couple months ago, which if anybody doesn't know, how can you not? It's Clubroid Radio. Was that your first podcast you did?
Yeah, that was my first podcast ever.
So that how do you feel about them so far? You did that one.
A lot more confident. I was super super anxious going into that.
Yeah.
I have a bad habit of fumbling over words and stuttering when I get nervous, so I was
You
super
remember,
worried I would
like,
just lock up.
5 minutes ago when I tried to say something and yeah, no, I feel that for sure. But,
So I mean, I'll still think about the one mistake I made, even just during that. It's something super minor, but I tend to hold on to those kind of things. But other than that, I think it went pretty good. I'm feeling a little more confident. Usually the video is what catches me a lot. I hate seeing and hearing myself on video. So
oh, isn't it the worst?
yeah. So even like Mike does his videos and I just hide. I don't like being on the videos, but I told myself this year I would try to be a little bit more outgoing.
It's funny you say that because I'm trying to do the same thing because like I can't sit there with a camera and be like, hey guys, what's going on? Like today's video,
Yeah, I can't.
I would rather shoot myself. So like instead I put a suit on because I have a YouTube video from like 7 years ago. And so our first like revamped YouTube video for this channel is coming out tomorrow.
Oh, nice.
By the time you're listening to this, it'll be come out 3 weeks ago. So, but I can't do that talking to the camera thing. The most I did is like I recorded some lines when we got to the Narcisse snake dens, and I was like, "Oh, this is like the worst." Like I had such
and
a
then you
hard
have
time
to
doing
edit
it.
it and hear yourself over and over.
Yeah,
I actually tried to do YouTube. I think the videos are still up. There's like 3 videos there. And I tried and I just couldn't. It was taking me like 4 hours to film like a 10-minute video because I was just so stressed about it.
yeah,
So I did 3 videos and then I just gave up and I've been much happier since. So
yeah. My workaround has been I record like bits. So like my intro will be like I did a monologue in a suit with like a fake glass of alcohol and like I had like a CGI fireplace right there and I like did this whole bit. So like that was my way around it. And for some reason I was way more comfortable doing that. And it was like obviously as a joke. Like
yeah.
I made a bunch of jokes during it and stuff, but we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I can't do like the vlog style, I guess specifically is like I don't think I could be like a vlog guy.
I think it takes a very specific personality. So I give those people
Yeah.
major props because that's not something I
Oh
could do.
yeah. It's like I got a lot of energy, but I don't think I have the energy for that. Um,
No, to do
so
it successfully, it's every day. It's just
oh
so
yeah,
much.
it's a lot of work, and hey, they do it. But yeah, I don't have the personality. I can't do that. So anyway, so yeah, so this is your second podcast, and then you're doing your third one on Wednesday. That's pretty good a number for just starting to do them.
Mhm.
Yeah, it kind of just happened all at once, I guess, because you and Zach reached out like kind of around the same time. So it just kind of was like, okay, I guess.
Yeah, I have a bad habit of doing that. Like I had like I've been trying to get Ashley on, right?
Mhm.
Like I want to have Ashley on so bad, and every time I'm like, we have some time to do it. Somebody else releases an episode with Ashley, and I'm like, no, I'm postponing it. And she like was like giving me shit the other day. She was like, why haven't we done an episode yet? I'm like, because you're doing it with everybody else. Like I'm not gonna release an episode. I felt bad enough releasing this one like right after CCR a few weeks ago. So I was like, but it's coming out in 3 weeks, so it's not that bad.
That's
But
that's fine.
yeah, I had to stop caring because if CCR doesn't beat me to it, which I mean they beat me to it. Like, I mean, how many have we done, Brennick? This is like our 12th, maybe.
Mhm.
So like CCR has done hundreds or whatever, and then Reptile Rejects keeps beating me to the punch because Michael's just on it with his guests, and then he's kind of like he does something funny where he's like, "Hey, Braden, like you should have this person on," and then his next episode is with that person, and I'm like, "What the fuck, dude?" So
Well, we can
I'll
talk about
post it.
something that won't come up on CCR since maybe we don't talk about colubrids. I don't know, unless you guys want to talk about colubrids.
I did want to touch on hognoses. I
Yeah.
want to talk some hognoses only because my fiance asked me to have you on to talk about hognoses. That's why I messaged you.
Well, I got a lot of hog noses, so I can talk about hog noses for quite a
Yeah,
long
she's
time.
like, she went from like, I think they're weird looking and I don't like them, which is something I hear a lot to people who like aren't familiar with hognoses. And then you watch
It's
enough
that or
videos of
the
hognoses.
complete opposite, where it's like they're weird looking, but they don't look like a snake, so I like them more than I
Yeah,
like a ball
yeah.
python.
And so she's kind of slowly getting over to there where she's like, I think they're really cute. Like, and they, there's so many video, like, I don't know what it is with captive. Like, with our captive hognoses, I've worked with a few dozen, but like, you work with a lot more. Are they as dumb as
Yep,
like all these videos? Yeah, they are, right?
yep.
Because the wild
I
ones
think
are not like that.
one of the reasons I got so like addicted to hognoses is because like I have a lot of other colubrids, but the hognose are the only ones that make me consistently laugh with their like
Yeah,
weird behavior.
yeah,
So there's just something about them. They're just straight goofy. Like
they
I don't
are.
know. They're just straight goofy. There's never not a time where I'll look over and sometimes they're just like side eyeing or they'll eat in a silly way. I have one where like there was one time I opened her enclosure and she was just eating her water bowl just unprompted. So
Yeah, that's the
they're
thing I see a lot.
they're just everything is food if you can eat it. An established hognose will eat everything that you hand it. Um,
Hmm.
an unestablished hognose is a lot pickier. But I have two F1 Western hognose, two F or one F1 Mexican, two F2 Mexican, and two wild caught Mexican hognose. The Mexican hognose don't act like the Westerns.
No,
They're just so mad.
yeah,
They're
it's
very,
funny
very
too
mad.
because
They're very wild, wild like. Same with the F1 Westerns. I find they
yeah,
don't behave like the multi-generational captive bred. They're hissy, they're jumpy, and like very, very different personality. The only other ones for Westerns I would say that are like that are the leucistic hognose. Something is up
oh
with
yeah,
them there. They're very, very upset.
hmm.
Every male hognose I've ever had hates me. Like at a Purple Line Superconda, and you walk by and just like side eye them, just don't even let them know you're looking, and he hoods up.
Yep.
And then same with my Arctic albino male, same
I
thing.
have
It's
a
like,
the like what I've noticed is the males tend to be more hissy. I don't know if that's just my experience, but if I had to like ratio all of the animals out, I'd probably say the hissiest ones have been the males, and the females just kind of like maybe hood up, maybe hiss. For the most part, they just eat food and then they move on their merry way. So for most people, I recommend if you're not after the micro size of a male, get a female. They're pretty decent size in terms of staying small, but they eat nonstop, and I've noticed they're a little less hissier.
Yeah, we it's I'm not going to show Kayla that because she saw your video of the female swallowing your finger, and she was immediately like, "Hold on, now I'm out." And I was like, "Okay, like there, like that doesn't really happen all the time."
No,
Like,
that actually caught me extremely off guard because I was just
yeah,
like, that female has never tried to bite me ever, but she is a female who is the most food driven ever. I have the last 3 years I've not been able to get eggs from her because she turns around and eats them immediately.
oh nice,
I'm
okay,
I'm shocked she hasn't eaten a male yet. Um, but she is just like everything is food no matter what. And if you follow the video, no damage.
hmm yeah.
Like I had like a pinprick on my finger, but other than that, absolutely nothing.
Yeah, she didn't like that, and so she's kind of been like, "Oh, like maybe I'll just get a male," and I'm like, "Whatever, we'll
The
figure it out."
worst bite I've ever gotten from a hognose was my albino condom male.
Okay, I'll tell her that. That I will show her.
The
Um,
females have bitten me out of like food several times, but it was like the male bit me to like get that good like bite and he was pissed.
yeah,
So I don't know. That was the only time he ever did it, but that was probably the worst hognose bite I've ever had.
yeah. You said you have two F1 westerns.
Yes.
Is it a 1-to-1?
It's a 1-to-1, yeah, I have a pair.
Are they going together?
Probably not since they're siblings. My goal was
Okay.
to outcross a lot more of the more
Yeah.
kind of inbred stuff. The thing with hognoses is, unlike ball pythons, you really hit a cap when you're breeding them. They cannot be line bred, inbred. I'd say three is kind of pushing it. 2 to 3 times you start getting the results of like bug eyes and pug like faces. I call them pug noses. They
hmm
get like this tiny little rostral scale, this like bulbous round head, big googly eyes, and they end up with tons of issues like eye problems and breathing problems. So I got the F1s to outcross some of the more kind of like inbred morphs that I have to kind of make them overall genetically stronger. That was the game plan, and then I'm hoping to eventually pair the offspring back together again.
hmm Yeah, that's smart. Yeah, I almost wondered if like because we kind of touched on it a few minutes ago, like a wild Western hognose or a like F1 is a very different animal than like if you
Yeah.
were to go get like a hognose from like an expo or something. And I almost
Yes.
wonder if that's maybe why, because like you get weird stuff too with like lavender false water cobras are like the stupidest snakes ever, and false water cobras are super smart. So like, and like
Yeah,
Crebos
it
are
could
really
be.
susceptible to it too. So I almost wonder if they're maybe like just don't handle it well or something.
The results of like long term breeding and stuff. I find anything where morphs are kind of involved, you get way more into the like inbreeding side of things. And with reptiles, we kind of pass it, like we just kind of throw it aside. But I think there really is a limit to where we can go without making sure there's new bloodlines. And then the problem that I've noticed with a lot of snake keepers in general is there's no lineage tracking whatsoever. You just buy a snake and people say, okay, well, I got it from breeder A and I got one from breeder B. They must not be related. And if they tracked it, you can find out that A and B are siblings. You just paired them together. But no way to prove it. No one ever tracks it. Because I also keep geckos, and lineage is such a huge part of keeping and breeding like Chihuahua geckos, crested geckos, gargoyles. Flipping it over to like the hognose snakes where there's just nothing is like a crazy concept to me, but to each their own. Eventually people will learn how important it is, and we'll see.
Yeah, for sure. I'm doing that with the garters too because like one thing I noticed, so like I brought a new locality of eastern garters in, and I want to be really careful with them because like just there's some stuff going on with like the Quebec flames and all that, and I don't want it to be the same thing.
Mhm.
And then on top of that, I have a pair of Tetratania, the San Francisco garter snakes,
Yeah.
and they all of them are so inbred because they all come from the same group for out of a
Yeah.
zoo in England from the 50s. And I'm kind of like, so I have a pair, they're brother and sister, and
Hmm.
people keep asking me like, oh, like when are you gonna pair them? When are you gonna pair them? And I keep telling people like, I don't think I'm gonna like,
Yeah, I
and
think
I'm
garter
almost
snakes, I've also seen like the bug eyes that they start getting when you get to a
yeah.
certain point.
Radix can be bad for that. And so they don't seem to have like too many issues right now with the Tetratania, which really surprises me because we've been inbreeding them to brother and sister since the fucking 50s.
Yeah.
But so like I'm almost like, do I want like I might just import some other ones that I know aren't direct siblings from EU,
Hmm.
but they're still going to be related.
Yeah.
But what they do in Europe is m- most people breeding Tetratania in Europe now have outcrossed with Infernalis, the California
Oh,
red-sided
okay.
garter snakes.
They've kind of just
And
added something else.
yeah, so it's controversial, because you're hybridizing or whatever, like the two subspecies. But at this point, I'm kind of like, we ain't getting any more. So it's like,
Yeah, that's such a tricky subject. That's like one of the main reasons that I used to keep a ton of Australian geckos. And I've got one group sitting here right now, that I'm sending over to Club Tail Exotics.
hmm,
I think that's right.
that
Gosh,
sounds
I
right.
feel bad. I feel bad. I literally was just speaking to him. But I'm gonna send that group over to him, and I just don't want anything to do with any of the Australian stuff anymore. We used to have, or Mike used to have Aki monitors, and
Oh, I remember that.
two out of three of them died from gout, and there was nothing that was done like dietary that could have contributed to it that we did differently than anyone else. I've also looked up that apparently there is a study happening with Aki monitors and gout where it might be, inherited.
Hmm.
But the Aussie geckos were nothing but problems. I had several species of Strophoris, and they were just such a headache where everything was problem after problem after problem. And part of that I just kind of push on to like, how inbred are these? We have no idea. Half these were smuggled into Europe and then ended up here. We just don't know, and I just can't deal with the headache, and I would prefer to save the headache for wild caught species to captive breed them versus excessively captive bred species.
Yeah, no, that's relatable. I have I've been moving to that more and more recently, mostly because I'm not a big like morph guy, so getting like F1s and stuff is a little more like I'd almost prefer that because then if I
Yeah.
do decide to line breed too, like it's kind of like your own sandbox and you can do it properly, where like you can outcross and stuff and do things like there's the guy in this. I think there's a guy in the States who is taking the bug eyes out of palmetto corns, and
Yes,
that's
I
like
saw that
that's
by
cool.
like
That is cool.
outcrossing them, and that's
Hmm.
fantastic, and we need more of that, and that's precisely why I got the F1 hognose. I mean, in general, like I just love the normal hognose, like the
Oh
way
yeah,
they
me too.
look is like I'm a huge fan of it. A couple of the like normal ones are my favorite snakes, and I always say I was like I could sell all my hognose, and the normals would be some of the ones I'd keep because they are so cool as they are, and I think they're underappreciated. Once morphs come into the picture, people kind of devalue the animal as it actually is, which is totally unfair. But one of the reasons I got the Mexican hognose is because I think there's only Xanthic that they found outside. Other than that, Mexican hognose come in localities and not morphs. So they're super, super cool snakes. I often have people mistake them for like lemon ghost Woma Western hognose because they're just so
Oh, cool.
pretty and lemon colored on their own with great patterns. So huge fan of the Mexican hognose. I like to say, I want more Mexican hognose. They're just so cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not I don't even think I'm that familiar with the Mexican hog noses. I'm about
They
to be though.
were a subspecies of Western until just recently.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That actually sounds kind of familiar. Yeah, the only time I've ever okay, that's not true. I purchased a Western hognose twice in my life. Once was from I used to work at a reptile store. A guy brought one in and said, "It won't grow. Do you want it for $50?" I was like, "Yeah, I'll take it. My girlfriend wants one." And so I gave it to her, and the thing never grew. It was like this big its whole life. I don't know what the hell was wrong with it, but it had bug eyes and a tiny head. So
I've seen that many, many, many times. In Canada, I noticed there is a more like the bug eyes seems to be a more apparent problem here, and I think that's mainly because like animals come into Canada and then people kind of give up. They don't continue bringing them into Canada.
Yeah.
So I think the hognose here, I have never seen more bug-eyed hognose than I have at Canadian expos. They almost always have the same genetics too. So it's very clear that this is kind of what's happening here because people are not going and importing from the U.S. or importing from Europe. Most of my hognose actually come from Europe or the U.S. Like I have two I've purchased from Canada, and then one was a gift, and the rest all
Mm.
come from the U.S. and Europe.
Yeah. Man, it's crazy. Natricines are the same in Canada, where like people import them, and there's some people doing some really good imports for Nerodia now,
Yeah, I've
like
seen
from
that.
Chris Montross and stuff, and those are doing really well. There's a bunch that show up on Kijiji and stuff. I think it's going to happen no matter what, but the like I don't know what it is with people and garters and water snakes. They get them, they beat the crap out of them, and then they sell them. So
Yeah,
like me and Jay Lynn have been buying up all these garters and waters. Well, I've been buying the garters. She can't get
she's been
garters.
going ham on the waters.
She's going to go on ham on the waters. And every time we find any that aren't from people, like Ty's sending me some Nerodia from Chris right now. And then we got those, Brennick picked me up a couple checkers. Um, and they seem okay, but the person was a weirdo apparently. But like they're all fucked up. Like
Weird.
they're like the Nerodia are all fucked up. They're either fat as hell. Like I got a male Florida banded water snake. He's the size of a female, and they're
I'm
supposed to be like 1/3.
Are they just feeding like goldfish? Like just feeder
Mice,
fish? Mice. Ah,
mice,
that'll
Some big
do it.
mice.
mice. Yeah,
That'll do it. These days
mice.
it's just like, okay, I have this cool snake. Can I feed it rats? When can I get it onto
Yeah,
rats?
yeah,
Um, the latest plague with hognose has been, I don't know what it is. In the last 2 years, I have never seen more obese hognose. And these are hognose, but I'm seeing that, okay, this is a 10 months old and it's 200 grams. And I'm like looking at my 10-month-old female and she's like 60 grams. I'm like, what am I
yeah,
doing wrong? But then I'm looking at these like baby hognose and they get the little tiny head and this great big fat sausage body. And I was like, you're
yeah,
growing the body faster than the animal can grow because now it's okay, get the snake to 1.5 years old, 250 grams, pair it, produce tons and tons because hognose are so prolific. I don't pair any of my hognose until they're basically like 4 or 5 years old. I
yeah,
brumate them every year from the time they're babies, just like they would outside. And I feed them very sparingly. I skip weeks of feeding them. I feed them different things. And I don't have a hognose over 250 grams, maybe 280 grams, so to speak, unless they're gravid, which is
yeah,
what I see in like wild recordings of hognose. You're not seeing like these 800-gram hognose outside.
yeah. There's a big obesity crisis with garters in Canada right now.
Yeah,
Like
I think snakes in
it's
general.
super
I
common.
think it's,
Yeah, oh
yeah,
yeah,
I was going
for
to
sure.
say everybody just power
Yeah.
feeds and it's crazy.
If you
How
ever
quickly can I
see,
get this to a breeding size?
oh
And you
yeah,
just
Mm.
feed the crap out of it.
I have never had a garter snake get to breeding age in 2 years, which is what the average person is doing.
Mhm.
It's always been minimum 3, but usually around 4 is my average, right?
Yeah.
That being said, I have one female right now from my one litter of, I guess you'd call them F0 because they're just captive born
Hmm.
um, flames. And she is like just shy of a year old. And she's like the size of a 2 year old. Like she
Oh
is
wow.
fucking huge. And she lives with her siblings still, eats the same. I monitor all my feedings. She just will not. I've taken her off food. Like she won't stop growing. She's just like
The new
a
giant morph.
behemoth. Yeah, she's like she to me she seems like a genetic like outlier. Like she
Yeah,
is
which
just
there always will be. There will always be that odd one that's bigger than the rest for no clear reason. And in some species, we don't even know how big they could get if they were
mhm.
permitted to get so big. Blue Beauties is a great example of that. Like, until just recently, people were like, oh my gosh, wait, a Blue Beauty gets to 13 feet? Like, it could get bigger. We still don't know. We haven't been keeping those in the hobby long enough to really know.
Yeah, that's weird. I wouldn't want a 13-foot blue beauty. That's too scary.
Especially not when you can go to the Reptile Expo and spin a wheel to win one.
Oh my
Oh
god.
no.
Do they do that in
I can't
Canada?
believe that was the case. I'm not sure where all those poor snakes
Oh
ended up, but
god. Yeah.
yeah, a blue beauty is the wrong pet for most people.
It's like when you used to see iguanas and gators at carnivals and shit. Like
Yes.
when a baby
Pop the
alligator
balloon.
or red-eared sliders. I remember red-eared sliders being
Yeah,
at the
red-eared sliders.
carnivals in Canada. Like
And that was
that
only
was
just
only
like a recent kind of shut off.
yeah, like within the last decade probably. Like I haven't been
I'd
to a
say, yeah.
carnival in a long time. I'm not really a frequenter anymore, but
They
you know,
they switched to just the goldfish, which
yeah.
is its
Which
own
also
problem.
get huge.
But
also get massive.
God
Whatever.
forbid we did guppies instead, but you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, all right. So yeah, like I said, my fiance wants a hognose, and I feel like that's cool because she got a ball python and she likes that, and we just got it like from my mentor. He's like, here, I've got like a black-eyed Lucy, just have it. And I was like,
Oh, nice.
okay, whatever. Like I didn't want it, but she did. She liked the white because she's like not a snake person. Like this was all
Not
brand
snake
new to her.
people love white snakes. I
Yep.
don't know
Yeah.
what it is, but I have the 3 leucistic hognose. My sister is not a snake person, but she absolutely adores one of the leucistic hognose. I see her,
Yeah.
like she goes and she's asked to hold her and holds her and whatever, but out of all the snakes, it's the leucistic hognose took the cake. The funny thing about the leucistic hognose is they have a behavior problem. Out of all the ones I've like raised, these are like multi-generational captive bred, and they musk and they throw it at you, they spill it everywhere, they hiss, they don't eat, they are terrible. My one leucistic female is doing a lot better. She's reaching the 100-gram stage, but her sister is like 20 grams. I can't get them
Wow.
to eat. They're terrible. All I wanted for the leucistic hognoses was to produce pets, like cheap pets for people, because people love white hognose, white ball pythons. And if there's something like super small like that that can at least get them into the hobby, if the only thing you like is a white hognose, try a white hognose. It shouldn't be $7,000. Just keep it. And if they love that and then they get like 30 more reptiles, I think that's a win. But at their current behavior, I would never recommend a leucistic hognose for someone wanting a pet.
Do you think
Which
it's
is the only morph that I can say that about. I don't know another one that behaves like a leucistic hognose does.
That's so weird. Do they have eye issues, like sight issues?
Not that
No,
I've
eh?
noticed. No.
I guess they're just built different.
I think it's
Okay.
because, like, once again, the original stock were zoo stock, and they were found in the wild. And they had a bit of spite, and I think the spite was bred to spite, bred to spite, bred to spite, and now we've just created a monster.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, who thought you could like line breed, specifically? Well, I mean, of course you can, but the idea of line breeding hog noses just to get
Yeah.
rid of that like spitefulness is so funny to me.
It
I mean, yeah, it
seems to
makes sense.
be
Like,
once you mix the leucistic with an incomplete dominant gene, it kind of solves the problem. It's weird.
okay, all right,
That's why there's a lot of like Arctic and super Arctic leucistics. And I'm just speaking off of like what people have told me. But once you seem to mix the Arctic, they eat, they do great. They are not terrible. It's almost just like the outcrossing fixed them because they were in so much of a
yeah.
rush to produce visual leucistics. We didn't take the time to make sure that they were sound.
It's just an angry,
They are
angry
so
family.
angry. If you stand in the room, you don't even need to go near them. All you hear is hissing. They just bash. They bash the bin. They charge. You hear hissing. They'll spray musk, and you haven't even gone near them. It's like brutal.
Oh God, Jesus!
That
Yeah.
sounds
I
like a
get
type
one
of
of those.
snake, bud.
I know.
I got
Yeah, it
them, and
does.
I'm like, I don't know if I really was like thinking this through. Clearly,
Yeah, that's so funny. The Natrix are kind of like that. The Natrix remind me of Hognoses, Brennick, because they do a lot of bluffing, and they're like just like flinging that tail everywhere and flicking shit in my mouth and stuff. Like
I always say I'd rather something bite the crap out of me than cover me in piss. Like
Yeah.
that's like, I mean, I have a white lip python, which can be kind of like a mix of both. I've been trying to handle him a little bit better. I got him as like a 2 week old baby, captive bred, which is a huge plus by Cody Joe
Oh,
out
yeah,
west there.
nice.
Yeah. So I got one of those. It was one of my dream snakes, and I kind of signed up for it knowing this snake would probably turn into an asshole.
Hmm.
But I'd like to try and see if I can at least get him to an asshole that doesn't mind being looked at.
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of people, when they have white lip pythons, they have the enclosures all boarded up, blacked out. They're very easily stressed snakes, but he bit me yesterday, so I don't know where we're getting with that.
Nice. That's awesome. I have a story about a bite. So I was in Manitoba recently, and I went to go visit the Narcisse snake dens. But added bonus is my friend Ashley's out there with her boyfriend Edward. And Ashley messaged me a couple weeks ago asking if I would take an older Crebo from them and just
Ooh.
give it a good home to make some room or whatever. And I was like, yeah, I've always wanted to try Crebo and take it on like a
A
large
Yucatan, or
yellowtail.
those are my favorite.
Yeah, so a large asshole, blind in
Nice.
one eye Crebo. And I was like, that's the perfect one for me to start with, right? Like it can't get any
If you
worse.
get the
So I
worst of
know
the worst, the every other one will be totally fine.
that is what I thought. And she's been fine. She's been great. But
Oh,
getting her was so we went and we're hanging out. And keep in mind, Kayla, this world is totally new to Kayla, right?
Mhm.
Not only is she new to like the reptile world, she's like my collection is mostly natricines and then
So
outreach
she's like
animals.
new to seeing something else. Yeah.
Yes. So the outreach animals are all good with public. So they're good with public, right? My natricines are natricines. They're kind of like the easiest snakes ever. Well, actually, they're a lot more difficult than people give them credit for, only because of ventilation and shit. But aside from
Yeah.
that, when it comes to handling and stuff, they're very easy and straightforward. I didn't pick like my obsession is not like white-lipped pythons or scrub pythons or crebos, right? As much as I love them. So going over and seeing Ashley and Edward's collection, it's all species I've worked with at the zoo and stuff for the most part. There was some new ones, obviously, but for her, it's a totally new fucking experience. And so where she's taking out like her Chinese false cobras and stuff, and they're fully hooded out with bright red, and Kayla's like, "What the fuck? Like that's what cobras do, right?" Like it's setting off alarms in her head. And then,
As they want you to assume, like hooding up like that means you should probably go away.
and Kayla took it like that,
Yeah.
and like she said to me before when handling the Natrix, like, why is it making that like it's like and I'm like, well, it's telling you to like get out of here. And she's like he's trying to scare you, or no, it was my Atritus. I bought Ashley's Atritus, the Santa Cruz garter, and none of my garters musk, none of them do anything bite or anything, and then he totally flattened his head like a
Oh, nice.
classic pissed off garter, which I don't see very often, and
I never seen
it's
that.
so rare. So he totally pancakes, and she's like, "Why is he doing that?" And I said, "It's to scare you, right? Like he's trying to intimidate you." And she's like, "It's like it worked. Like she was totally." And he's like this big, right? She was
That's
totally
awesome. I've
freaked
always
out by
wanted
it.
to see a garter do that, but like
It's
every time
cool.
I find
He's
one
awesome.
outside, it's just like totally indifferent
It's
to
like, what's
being
up?
there.
And so anyway, Edward has um, baby Japanese king rat snakes, which are
Mm.
like my favorite king rat snakes.
They're
Like
the,
I
they
think they're
look the most like a
so
cobra to me.
yeah, it's basically like a king cobra. So he
Yeah.
takes it out, and it's a small little, 1.5, 2 foot thing, and we're handling it. And then I'm like, well, I have to touch it. So I put my hand out, and when you put a hand out to a snake and it's moving towards you, like the kind of going from a vine to a vine, like when
Yeah.
they're stretching out. How often do they bite you when you do that? Never. They go on, and then this
Well,
thing was like,
it
fuck
depends.
you. Yeah. With the
I was about to say, I
species
was
I
like, the amount
keep,
of times I've had a snake come down like this
yeah.
and then immediately recoil and grab my hand has
Oh,
been way too many.
none of mine. None of mine. And then you have this thing, and the first thing it does is just chomp on my thumb. And it's a tiny little snake, so I didn't react. It was a little surprising, but Kayla's scared the shit out of her, right? And
No,
so
no
we're like,
more
oh,
Japanese
okay.
king rat snake for you.
Yeah, right. Put him back and whatever. And then we go into Edward's room, and then that's when we start handling the Krebos. And they're all very laid back, but they're very quick snakes.
Yeah.
So, we're handling them. He's handing me a Crebo, any species you could really think of. And I'm handling them, and then they're super quick and freaking her out. And then we put them back and move on to the next. And then finally we get to the last one, which is my yellowtail.
Yeah.
And she's obviously the biggest one. She's obviously the meanest one. And so we, hype Edward up for a little bit. And then he grabs her and just immediately gets bit. And then
Instilling confidence.
he grabs her, and then she turns around, and your Hognose video style fully engulfs his thumb and just cannot let go. Kayla's like sitting in the corner, like wide eyed, like, what the fuck is going on? And we're all just like, whatever. We're laughing at him. Right?
Just another day.
I had to get my credit card and slide it under the top jaw, and then we had
That's
to
the nice thing
bag
about
her and stuff.
Hognose. They just come with like a built-in handle. So the
Yeah.
second they bite you, it's usually I can do it one-handed too. If they bite my finger, I can just flick them right off with my thumb
Yeah.
like a pop tab.
Like a leech.
Yeah, it's pop them right off. And I was like, the biggest benefit, like besides Hognose, unfortunately, they are rear fang venomous, so you don't want them to chew on you. And garter snakes are the same way. I tell people you don't want a person to chew on you, or a dog, or a cat. Don't let anything chew on you. And I see it all too often where people are scared of hurting the snake, so they let it chew on them for 5-10 minutes, and then they're in a world of hurt. So I like to say it's like as great as hognose are, when they do bite, at least you can flick them right off. But a white-lipped python, if they crunch down, they crunch down. Now you're just fighting tooth and nail to get it off.
Yeah. Python bites suck.
Yeah. My worst bite was from a Boega nigriceps, or nigriceps, I guess. And that was a pretty gnarly one. And I compared the pain level to the last time I had like double sinus surgery. Where I was in it was actually the night before we were leaving to Tinley. So I was just checking on her because she was actually due to lay a clutch of eggs. And I was like, okay, well, like, what if she lays when we're gone? And I had like last minute anxiety. So I took her out to double check, like, if she was like close to dropping eggs or not. And she was the calmest Boega ever. Like, she would just sit in your hand, sit around your neck. She would chill, super curious. And then she caught me off guard because she was just sitting there, sitting in my hand, just chilling, no defensive, nothing. Turned around and just grabbed my thumb, like with full force, and started chewing away. And it, like, of course, I'm in shock because like this snake has never shown any sign of biting me ever. And I'm used to like the Boega, like the classic mangrove snake, rear up, mouth open, like looking like it's going to kill you. This was just like a calm, just. And so I had to call Mike for help to try and get her off, but she chewed in for about 30 seconds. And I've got photos, I kept them saved, and it was like within 10 minutes, my thumb started turning black. It turned into like, to the point where it actually thought it wasn't part of my body. Like I was hitting it and stuff, and it was like, it felt like it wasn't actually there.
Wow.
I was just rocking back and forth. It felt like holding my hand under a fire and not being able to take it away. And of course, this is like the night before Tinley, and we're like, okay, well, do we cancel? And I was like, nah, screw it. We're gonna just figure out what happens, because there's no research really on what happens when this Boega bites you. So I was like, well, I'll take it as it goes. I'm not missing Tinley on account of an oopsie. So whole Tinley, my arm turned black. I got really, really sick on like Saturday. And then by the time I got home from Tinley, like 12 days later, I finally recovered from the bite. But I thought that was the most riveting Tinley experience ever.
Yeah, no thanks.
I had a similar situation, but with Kalatoa super dwarf.
Nice, that's what we have.
Yeah. I was palpating, and everything was fine. And then I went to put her back, and she turned and came right at my face, and I went like this, and she got me here. And then held on for like a half hour. And
yikes.
Nothing worked.
Fighting with a retic is a whole different story. the strength they got. I mean, we only just got our retic. Love him dearly. We've always wanted one, but we didn't want 10, 15 plus foot snake. And I find Canada, again, a lot of the animals labeled super dwarfs are suspicious and not super dwarfs.
Yeah,
There's actually some on Kijiji right now for $500, pure Kalatoa super dwarfs.
yeah.
And
Fuck.
yeah, there's no way.
No,
There's
no.
not a chance. Absolutely love ours. He is super, super chill, very friendly, lets anyone hold him. You can open up the enclosure, stick your hand out, but God forbid there is food anywhere in the vicinity, and he's striking the glass, like slobbering all over it. I post funny pictures of him just like slobbering all over the front glass because I have food somewhere in the vicinity and he's just trying to eat the wall. Um, but super great snake, a huge fan. We've always wanted a retic and absolutely love that animal.
Yeah, that's awesome. Frank, were you gonna say something?
Just gonna say they're lots of fun, but boy, they don't like to let go once they have you.
I'm
That's my
very
fear.
happy to say I have not been bitten by a retic, but I watched Paul Kennedy get bit before, and he was on blood thinners, and
Ooh.
I was like,
Ooh.
I think I was like 13 or something, and her name was Gypsy, and she was 14 feet. So
Mhm.
that's a big snake,
That's a big
and
snake. Yeah.
I was like, it bit him right on the wrist, and I was like,
Ouch.
and it was like during a birthday party. It was just a food response, like didn't like use a hook when he opened the bin and just wrapped it. Like he was fine, but like it was fucking horrifying.
It
Yeah.
looked
Like
very not fine.
yeah,
Um,
like oh my god,
I
it
don't
was
know
awful.
if like I lost the bet last time I did an import with Ashley, and this was back when I didn't really know too many species or anything. And she got an import
Are
in
you
from
about to talk
Europe,
about the stiletto?
the Oligodon.
Because she told me this story at her house.
Yes.
But go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah, she was just like, "Oh, I'll give you $30 if you open that container." And I'm like, "Of course." I'm just like looking at this like small red snake, and I was like, "Oh, it like kind of just looks like a normal colubrid. Like, how bad could it be?" And I opened this up, and this was an Oligodon purpurescens, so the Tiaman Island kukri.
Something like
I know
that.
the
Oh, the
species, I don't
kukri.
know the
Yeah,
common name. So, anyway, this small red snake turned out to be a small red demon and shot out of the container and grabbed my one thumb and just like immediately sliced it open. So of course I'm caught off guard, not expecting this at all. So what I do is like I grab it by the head, also not realizing that they turn their heads like stilettos. And it just this is on my other hand now. So it turns around, slices open my thumb and my finger on my other hand. And of course, it's just like pouring blood all down my arms, into the deli cups, all over the snake. And here I am, like, panic trying to get like tissues to try and like keep it from like bleeding everywhere. I'm pretty sure we shipped that snake out like covered in my blood because that was like, we're not touching it again, forget it. But I just thought it was like hilarious because unlike the Boega bite, it didn't hurt. It was just, it was bleeding for 4 days.
yeah, yeah. No,
Every
they
time I
don't mess
like bend
around.
my thumbs, it would just burst out like
Ugh.
horrible. And I've never had that experience with any other snake ever. Just like because normally snake bites bleed a little bit more than normal, but man, oh man, it was just like a faucet.
Yeah, they're like they got to be like aside from like your big scary constrictors like a big retic like they're bad man and even
And I
when
think
they're
it's
like
just
little
because like they
babies.
catch you off guard because you think, okay, I got it by the head. You can do that with a retic. You grab a retic by the head, you can't. They can't turn around. I just
Hmm.
wasn't expecting it to turn around and dice my fingers up.
Yeah.
Um, but then of course I had that experience, and now I'm like, man, I really wish I had some Maligodon. They're so cool.
Oh yeah, they're very cool. I'll ask Ashley if she could send me the photo of the kukri snake with the tooth hanging out because they'll do what Crotalus does and they'll like fully take their teeth out and fuck you with it. It doesn't matter if
Oh
you're
yeah.
not in front of them. Like
And
they'll find
as
a way.
someone who had knew nothing about like this species at all, I was like absolutely just sitting there just like bewildered. And I was like, well, I got $30. I
Yeah,
guess it could be
sure.
Worth
worse.
it.
Yeah. The only one that the worst for me, which I might have even talked about last episode, wasn't a retic bite, but I got bit by a caiman on my finger,
Ouch.
just a little one. It wasn't a big one.
Oh,
It
little
was maybe
baby.
this big, yeah. And it bit me on this finger and kind of cut the middle of my finger pad open. Not too bad. It just bit and thrashed in it. I had a couple centimeter gash in it, and I wrapped it up and whatever. And then I helped with a program. I still would have been about 13, 14 at the time. And then it was the same retic, the 14-foot named Gypsy, and her ventral scale got in it, and then she just kind of flexed, and then boink, like
Ooh,
triple the
Ouch.
size, like just from a
yeah.
flex, right? And that was like my worst bite because it had nothing to do with the bite though. It was that
It
ventral
was just
scale.
the oops accidentally.
Yeah. Oh, that sucked. That was the worst. Like that, and that was another one where it kind of like wouldn't close for a few days. Like didn't want to, but yeah, I don't like
Yeah.
getting. I don't. I see all these videos of people getting bit. I fucking hate getting bit, dude. I don't
I
care
was just gonna
what it
say
is.
that.
I hate it.
Eat it.
I usually like my thing is I just go in with like pure confidence and I try to
Mm-hmm.
avoid it, but if that's like the end result, it's just kind of like oops.
It's kind of part of it.
If it's not a venomous snake, I'm not fearing for my life. It's not the end of the world. I've been trying to my our cave racers are so mean, just so
Those are
mean.
cool.
It's like a 6 foot male and I think a little over a 5 foot female. And they were actually just gifted to us by one of Mike's subscribers.
Oh,
And
nice.
they are just so mean. Like they're Mike's snakes since they were given to him, but I think he is definitely scared of them. So of course when I'm like cleaning them or whatever, they come straight for your face. Like they are not happy. And so a lot of times I'm just stuck to kind of like taking a bite from them as I grab their tail and try to keep them from getting away and kind of wield them around. But they're notorious for going forwards and then backflipping and coming right towards you. So
Oh,
they're kind of
really?
unpredictable. They're so cool, like really nice snakes. We were hoping to breed them this year, but I'm not really trying. So I'm trying
Yeah.
for more of the frogs this year than anything.
What kind of frogs are you trying?
I was trying with these. I had a trio of Mexican leaf frogs, the Agaliacnus dacnycolor, which is what I keep looking at right here. The female is just doing circles.
Nice.
But unfortunately, they got really sick when I imported them, gosh, 4 years ago now. I brought them in from Tinley and they sat in a cup too long. Then they had bacterial infections. I found out they had hookworm and lungworm and I just don't think they ever recovered. So occasionally they go into implexus, and I'm like, okay, well, let's just see. And I've not been successful with them. Not trying. They're sitting in a quarantine type tank, just to keep it clean because now I'm kind of like wigged out with them.
Yeah.
But I actually just got a group of 14 bumblebee toads,
Oh, I
and
saw those. Yeah.
I'm looking to. I'm currently waiting. I was supposed to be on this import, but doing another Madagascar import for the Malagasy rain frogs. I'm getting another dozen.
Cool. Yeah. That's awesome. I saw your post of those toads. Man, I would love a bigger collection of toads. I don't have any toads anymore. I used to, but like,
I
man,
think
I
toads are
fucking love
so
toads.
like we got the dart frogs, we got the leaf frogs, I've got the rain frogs, but I think toads are just so overlooked in terms of how much hardier and more like personable they can be
Yeah, their
compared to
personality is
frogs.
insane.
Um I had an American toad that Ashley gave to me. He had 3 legs. Um and truly the most like wonderful personable little
Yeah.
guy. I actually sent him to a friend who runs like a like educational rescue type thing.
Hmm.
So she's got this little 3-legged toad, and still doing fantastic, but they're just so outgoing.
Yeah.
um and the bumblebee toads, like they kind of vanished. They were everywhere and then nowhere. So group of 14 of them, and I like to call them like a chubbier, sillier dart frog. Like they are
Okay.
just, they have like the
Like,
mentality I think of with the hognose. They're just silly and they're very, very clumsy. But they're out. They just kind of putz around all day, and you can stick
Yeah.
your finger right in front of them. They don't move. They just sit there. They just look at you. They seem unfazed by everything, and they're just so cool because of that.
Yeah. My one of my favorite pets I've ever had has been American toads. I
They're so
love
fun.
American toads. I don't have any right now, but like it's not the last time I'll ever have them. They're
Yep.
perfect little pets. Like they really are.
And they're overlooked. A lot of people get the like White's tree frogs, red-eyed tree frogs, and all of these as like a first kind of amphibian. And I'm like toads, toads every
Yeah.
single time.
Toads.
yeah.
Like
Like even when I
they're so
had
fun, and they're
southerns.
so hardy. Like they're very
Hmm.
forgiving when it comes to like beginner level errors. I kept fire belly toads, and I thought those were fantastic for what they were. Of course, like $15 from PetSmart when I got them, but
Yeah. That was the first animal I ever bred. It was a firebelly toad. I was 4 years old, and my firebelly toad got out of the little 10-gallon, 5-gallon probably, with the stupid pebbles and the little
yep.
Tupperware of water. And so my parents went and bought me another one, but this one was green instead of brown. And so we had it in the enclosure. And then a couple months later, maybe a few weeks, you're when you're 4 years old,
Yeah.
your
Time doesn't
time,
exist.
who knows how fucking long it was. Found it in the basement, 2 floors down, in the laundry sink. Fished it out, put them together. I had tadpoles a few weeks later, and we gave them all to Rob, who I ended up working for.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I feel like
12 years
firebelly
later.
toads, they disappeared. They need to come back. They're really
Yeah.
good and kind of like overlooked for what they are. I don't. The problem with a lot of the amphibians or even just animals in general, when they're a wild caught animal and they're cheap, the value of the actual animal ends up matching the price tag for some reason.
Yeah.
So the Malagasy rain frogs that I have, the Scaphiophrine, uh, there once was a time in the hobby, including Canada, where my favorite species of frog, the rainbow Malagasy frog, Scaphiophrine Gottlebay, was in the hobby. Everybody had them. Red, green, white, like they look like the fancy koi dart frogs. And because they were coming in at like $20, people got them and they were kind of like a throwaway frog. No one cared. And now there's CITES 1 with a zero quota. So they're gone from the hobby
Wow.
forever.
Yeah.
And potentially gone from Earth forever in a few years. They're struggling out in Madagascar. So one of the reasons I really want to breed the Malagasy rain frogs is because like who knows how long I have left to actually get them and breed them. They're CITES 2 as of now, and the quota for all of the other Scaphiophrine are diminishing drastically. So I know Madagascariensis, which is another species, is like no quota again. And then there's a couple other where it's just we're losing our chance to be able to keep them in the hobby. And the tiny throwaway frogs, like I freaking love these Malagasy rain frogs. I think they are the superior choice to a Pac-Man frog any day of the week. But no one knows about them, so what are you going to do?
Yeah. I do like Pac-Man frogs though.
They're like a Pac-Man frog and I guess, almost like, I want to say like in generic, like a White's tree frog, a really commonly
Okay.
known species. They sit in the ground, and when you keep them dry, they sit burrowed in the ground because they're also called the burrowing frogs. They got these long, like spider fingers. So when Mike was in Madagascar, he saw them in the wild, and they were like 7 foot up a tree, just in the trees. So most people, when I went to go get these frogs, told me, oh, they're like they're a burrowing frog. Burrowing frog is in their name. They need a terrestrial, like big deep thing of dirt, like a setup like a Pac-Man, like exactly the
Mm-hmm.
same little water bowl, deep soil. Then I put them in a 12 by 24, and most of the time I see them at the very top. So they'll
Funny,
hide
eh?
in the ground. If you make it moist, they come out of the ground. They have like their little tunnels in the ground that they'll just kind of like peek out of. And then they'll hop around and chase crickets all across the top. I'll see them sleep up top. They'll take food from your fingers. They sit in their little water dish. But they have that same like kind of, I don't know. They don't do that much, but they're
Yeah.
very small, and they're like, I mean, the adults are like this big, so they're tiny. And they eat small crickets, and they bounce around, and they're very round shaped. So
If my frog ain't round and bouncy, I don't want it. So
yeah, that's my
Facts.
thing. That Mike's got the dart frogs, and I'm just like, where can I get the roundest
yeah.
frogs? So I'm a big fan of them. I just call them like I call them Forbies because at some point I ended up mixing the word froggies and Orbeez together
Oh yeah.
because they're like literally like a sphere with legs, and they just look so silly. And compared to the African rain frogs, the ones with like the cute butts, and
Yeah.
everyone went absolutely bananas purchasing them, and now most of them are dead, unfortunately. They are way easier, even wild caught, than the actual African rain frogs, which I don't think belong in the hobby just yet.
They do
Yeah, I
have
heard
cute
they're
butts
super
though.
hard to keep.
Yeah, yeah. I was showing Kayla videos of them literally yesterday at my parents' house. The rain
The
frog.
the African rain frogs.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
the classic video of it screaming. That one.
I
I showed her.
remember it was probably like 10 years ago now. I was desperately looking to buy them. Like,
Mhm.
and this didn't even stem from like the rain frog screaming video, which I think is like the reason they kind of like got up there.
Yeah,
I found them on some sort of forum, like some weird forum, because like China's been keeping them for way longer.
yeah.
And I looked for everywhere to buy them. And then now that I got to the chance, like where I could have purchased them, there were multiple opportunities I could have bought them. I don't want them.
Yeah.
So most people who did buy them were the people who saw one video on Facebook. I want the screaming frog. They bought them. They had never owned a pet ever. I joined like the Rain Frog Facebook group when it was first created. And man, oh man, it was just people who never had any kind of pet at all, ever.
Yeah.
And they bought a rain frog, and it's how do I care for it? And then like 24 hours, it's gone. So I wouldn't be shocked if those hit the next CITES list.
Hmm.
Just the sheer volume that are being shoveled out of Africa right now is kind of upsetting. I'm really
Oh
hoping
yeah.
that the couple people who still have them, I know like Leafy Street, Alex from Leafy Street, he still has a pair from the original import, and they're still going strong. And I put so much faith in him. I keep watching. He takes them to the vet. He's gotten them ultrasounded and everything. Like he's actually trying his best. But I hope I can see like some captive breeding success so that we don't. I'll get them if they're captive bred. I'm not getting one that was shoveled out in a wheelbarrow and
Yeah.
sat for several weeks. And we don't know how to care for them. So it's the same thing as the shovel nose, I think, really, because I got the shovel nose and there's no captive husbandry. I had like two people to talk to, and I've been making it up ever since. And I've lost several of them doing that. So
Hmm.
hit and miss, hit and miss.
Oh yeah, for sure. Man, those little frogs. They do have the cutest little butts though.
They're
Like you said.
adorable, and I'd be lying if I said I love them dearly. But
Yeah, they're cool.
it's one of
It's
those like you know when something's just not right for you
yeah.
at
It's
a time.
something we talk about. Something that comes up a lot on this show specifically is species that are like they're not sought after until they are.
Yes.
Ends up coming up a lot. So like the example that Brennick and I have used multiple times on the show's tokay geckos, because I
Yep.
started breeding tokay geckos right before CITES, and then I was selling them for like $25, $50 a piece for captive bred and born, and then all of a sudden like everybody wants tokay geckos, and it's kind of
Yeah,
like
it's a sudden boom. Everyone wants tokays. What else have I seen like lately? I find YouTube drives demand a
oh yeah.
lot more than people
Big
think.
time.
There was no demand for emerald tree skinks until Clint's Reptiles made a video about emerald tree skinks.
Mhm.
Then everybody wanted them. So it really depends what kind of goes through the waves. Like majority of the people who come to buy a hognose from us, their first experience with a hognose is Emily and Ed at Snake Discovery. Their
It's the
only
same as
reason they're
garters.
yeah, the
Hmm.
only reason they're there is because they saw Snake Discovery, and that exposed like a whole new generation to reptiles that they wouldn't otherwise see. So as things kind of go in waves, you can kind of see the popularity begin to like house snakes are going to be the next big thing, I'm sure. But there's demand for like oddball species, and then it poofs, just like the tokays. No one wanted a tokay, and now everyone wants a tokay.
Yeah, they're going
And
for like 200, $250. It's crazy.
the Mexican black king snakes were like
Oh
you were
yeah.
so babies were going for like $800-900, and now you're like trying to give them
Mhm.
away for $50. And I think a lot of contributors to that is people who got in it for the money and not actually liking the species, got in when they saw all this profit, and then now they're like, okay, well they're not worth anything to me. Sell the adults. So once all of the adults are sold to new places, then the demand will go right back up the way it always does, because now the Mexican black king snakes will be harder to find.
It's
Um,
crazy. I was breeding those in like 2009, 2010,
yeah, they were
and
like everywhere, but like a
I
hundred
couldn't give them
bucks,
away.
$50.
I sold them for
Like
70. Nobody wanted them.
yeah, I remember seeing them at the expos, and they just sat on tables. No one ever bought them. They were like $50 to $100, and then all of a sudden, boom! Everyone wanted a Mexican black king snake. which
Well, sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
I was just gonna say when I was working at the reptile store in Hamilton is when the weird Mexican black king snake thing happened because we were selling them for $69.99, and then we sold
Everyone
out.
went nuts at the store.
Oh, and then all of a sudden we couldn't buy them for less than $800 in over the course of what felt like a week, and it
Yeah.
was like crazy to see that happen. Like because I saw the Tokay thing, and it happened at the same time as the Cuban Nightingale thing, where they
Hmm.
both got really popular at the same time. The Cubans didn't last like although they're still expensive because nobody's breeding them really. But
Yeah, yeah.
in Canada, but the
The
Tokays people have got
what is it?
hammered
What
down.
is it? The crown giants, the yellow and blue ones.
Yeah, they're the Blue Beauty Anolis
Yes.
equestris portier. They're more there's more of them in Canada than there is equestris now.
Yeah, they're like the value on them has definitely tanked. I mean, they're not like I wouldn't call them prolific, but they're pretty consistent. So I think
Hmm.
because Canada is also such a small market, they all just kind of congregated and now there's lots. But I don't really see them moving still at the current price. I
Yeah.
like to say in the nicest way possible, Canada is very cheap. So something you can sell to the US for $1,000 may only sell for like $300 here. And I tell that to everyone who's looking to try and kind of like start a reptile breeding or sales business. They check morph market and are like, oh my gosh, like I can sell it for A by ABC. But we have a morph market, and if I list something for $1,000 US, I'm selling it for $1,000 Canadian with no conversion, nothing, and sometimes even lower. So like it's that market is not here, and we need to kind of realize that like hey, like Fiji iguanas for example, the market for Fiji iguanas in Canada, we're looking at people who want to spend the same price as a green iguana. So I watched someone at an expo maybe last year. I literally watched them go over, look at a Fiji iguana, and then go buy a green iguana. So
That's what I would
yes,
do.
The Fiji iguana was the way better choice.
Yeah.
But no one's thinking that. They're thinking, okay, $150, $200 green iguana. We're not going to think about when it gets like 7 feet long and needs a whole bedroom enclosure, if they even have it that long. But the price needs to come down so that people can get the certain species and stuff more affordably. And you know, we're just kind of like I don't want to say naive, but a lot of things here like Canadians never hear of them. So they don't have the interest. We're still looking for leopard geckos, crested geckos.
Yeah, we're
So
behind for sure.
a lot more education of like the niche species will kind of bring people, oh my gosh, that's actually really, really cool. Back when I had the Stropherus, I used to bring one to the show just to show people. And there was a lot of people who just like absolutely loved it. But of course, like the price on it was way out of the budget. But at least like there's the exposure of something other than a ball python, crested gecko, leopard gecko.
So do you have Brachylophus?
Yes, just one male.
What type is it? Is it a Bula Bula?
Bula Bula. We were like one of when they were first released, we were one of the first like people to be able to get one. So obviously back then when we got him, the Bula Bula was the only one available, no fasciatus. And he was 2,800.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Is
we
that
still have him.
from?
He's in a 4x3x4 fully planted bioactive enclosure.
Beautiful.
Fiji iguanas don't seem super keen on eating their plants. Um, he takes like a couple bites out of random ones and they're fine otherwise.
Tastes like shit. He wants his fucking
Yeah, like
yummy
we
stuff.
have philodendrons, we have like a grass, we got a big rhaphis palm in there that's doing really bad. We got some sort of jasmine, maybe. Um, there's another one I can't forget. Like lots of like we had an alocasia in there for a little bit. I don't know. He'll take like we have a fig tree, like a tropical fig tree growing in the center right now.
Oh,
And he took a bite out of like two of the leaves, and I was sure that he was just going to eat it because it's a fig tree. Even though it's not fruiting, he took a bite out of two leaves and hasn't touched it since.
Really? That's
I'm gonna
funny.
have to trim it. It's almost to the top of the enclosure now. We just got it as a little baby tree, but it's growing like crazy. But I think they're good for that. You can keep them in a heavily planted setup and very low maintenance in that sense. Very shy iguanas though.
Yeah. I think I've only seen a handful of them. I saw Northern Gecko had some, and I saw theirs
Yeah, they're
at their
they're
facility.
They're chill, like they're not like likely to bite or anything. They can be more skittish and they're way more easily stressed than a lot of the bigger iguanas. Like
Yeah.
they're not. My favorite species of iguana is actually the banana pectinata, and
Okay.
I've wanted one for the last. God, there's none in Canada, so I've always just like given up that dream. Like there's not going to be any. And then
I
occasionally
know of
Patrick
one.
LaPlante spontaneously has them, and at the wrong time. But I absolutely adore them, and that's like a more larger, outgoing iguana. I like to say like the Fiji is more like an emerald tree boa in the sense where he just kind of sits there all day, and we don't really handle him too much because it stresses him out. Um, but yeah, like I've always wanted like a an outgoing kind of like bigger lizard, and
Mhm.
banana pectinata is my jam.
Hell yeah. Brennick, you fixing to say something or no?
I was just gonna say the obvious. I'm a big cycler guy.
They're so
I,
cool.
I've been talking about garter snakes this whole fucking episode, dude. Just talk about the cycler. It's fine. It's funny the iguana situation in Canada. It's always something pops up
It's
and you're like,
weirdly backwards. I don't know. It's
yeah.
it's 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 super weird. And then of course a lot of the iguanas that I think should be like a green iguana is just a bad pet for 99% of people.
100%.
Um, but it sucks because the same concept of like importing comes into play where people want it, they find out they can't get it easily, and then they give up because it's it costs money to import stuff. You got to go through the processes. If it's a CITES animal, now you're looking at even more money. Um, but since I've always like, especially being friends with Ashley, pretty much everything in this room is imported. We're so used to like if we want something, we will look for it and we will find a way to get it. The bumblebee toads are from Michigan, so we find a way to get the species we're looking for. We just haven't dove into CITES besides the Malagasy frogs because of that. No import export without way too many strings.
It's tough.
Yeah.
I was looking into importing some cycler corneta from Jurgen out in Europe, but it's like 10 grand.
Yes, that's the problem. So even the people who want to do it, or like the passionate ones who are like, yes, I really want these, I'm dedicated to it, then you get hit with the wall of like, oh my God, I can't afford that. So
Hmm.
it really does depend, like who's working with what. And I mean, it only takes a handful of people to be able to kind of like establish something in Canada, and then everyone else can reap the benefits.
Yeah.
Um, but of course, it takes a while, it takes a long time.
And then Brennick found out that there's a few people with rhinos in Canada, and I watched his bolt from his camera shoot all the way up past the screen. It's a true story. True
there's
story.
Yeah.
there's people in Canada who keep a lot of things on the DL, and
Yeah.
you can find them if you look hard enough. But it really just depends on how you want to go about it. Because rhinos are super cool. I think to me they're still too big. Uh,
Yeah.
the pectinata sits in that really nice cozy space of like we kind of pushing green iguana size, and then there's like Fiji iguana size where it's like
Yeah.
tiny little lizard. I don't want a bedroom for an enclosure. I want to be able to give it a very reasonably sized large enclosure.
So that's
Well,
my favorite part is I want to be able to like have the bedroom size enclosure and then just go chill in there.
Yeah. It gives you that freedom where you're not like you're really pushing it. You just have a nice big enclosure that you can enjoy, and now you're giving over the minimum and feeling good about it. And you're not walking headfirst into a green iguana who
Yeah.
just hates your guts. So
I get made fun of it by Jay all the time. I love those stupid trap lizards. I don't like. One day I'll probably have a big fucking asshole green iguana just because I like them. Like I
I
always
think they
say,
are
like
so cool, but
they're
man, oh
cool.
man,
The people who get them suck 99.9% of them,
yeah.
which is why Jace calls them a trap house lizard. And they, they're not easy animals to keep. But like I always try to tell people, like, or not tell people, but I try to justify my love of green iguanas by saying, if you take all that away, forget all of that about
Yeah.
them, and look at a big male green iguana, you will be
Oh,
hard
they're
pressed
so
to
cool.
find a lizard more impressive. They're very impressive animals.
Yeah,
Like,
when the right person gets them, they turn out
yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah.
But then you also have to think about it like I'm not the right person to get one. So
Yeah.
I know
It's,
that. I think like our friend Logan has a female green iguana and she's awesome. She's beautiful. She's
mhm.
so sweet. And they love her dearly. But I know I'm not the right person to give the right home to a green iguana. But the
Yeah,
right person who does, fantastic animal. Like super, super great.
there's a reason I don't have one right now. It's,
Exactly.
you know,
Maybe 10 years
much
from
as I
now
love.
I'll feel like
Yeah,
great, let's have a green iguana.
yeah. Before we were talking a little bit about like how like Canadians will charge for animals and will kind of like we Canadians overcharge for a lot of animals. I'm gonna say this real quick. Bring it back to garter snakes again. I don't know what happened in my time away from that hobby, but you guys are charging too fucking much for garter snakes, and you will never see that money. It is insane what all Canadians are asking for garter snakes today, and it has nothing to do with where the market has changed because the market is worse than when I left. It is way
Out
worse.
of curiosity, because I haven't seen any garter snakes for sale. Granted, I'm not looking. What are they currently go? Are they going like for 200, like two to five
On the
hundred?
low end, yeah, on the low end 200. So like checkered garters right now are 2 to 500 or 2 to 250, which is the only one that I kind of get because checkered garters have kind of disappeared. They were
Okay.
the most common in Canada and then they completely disappeared for some reason. I've been collecting a massive collection of them to try and like I'm trying to wholesale a bunch of them to get them back.
Oh,
They
that's
need to be
interesting.
the top garter snake pet again. They
I
deserve
think
that
most
spot.
people are after the San Frans and the Californian red-sided, because obviously you see all the picture. The only pictures you ever see
Yeah.
of like people reposting are those two.
Yes.
I have a friend in the U.S. who got a pair of Lake Chapalas. Those are the blue ones, right?
Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
She got the pair for $500, like an adult pair, only to find out that the like female is like ancient, like very old. But otherwise, they were selling like the baby Lake Chapalas for like $800, $900 at Tinley
What?
last year. Yeah,
Wow.
Last year?
yeah. I'm pretty sure. Don't quote me on it, but like I remember
Okay.
picking them up, being like, "Oh my god," and then putting them down.
Normal Lake Chapala garter snakes in Canada. So Lake Chapala garter snakes in Canada are the new checkers. They're the most common garter snakes in Canada right now.
Oh, that's crazy.
They're worth 150 bucks for a neonate. I would never pay more than 150 bucks unless it was an albino. I'd pay a little more. But yeah, they're worth about
Are they
150
like the
bucks.
albino blues? Just look like an albino, like just a classic, like nothing.
They're kind of just like a peach color. They've got
Okay.
some pretty yellow stripes on them where the blues would be. They're nice. I like them. Ty has a couple pregnant girls right now, and I'm probably going
Hmm.
to buy some from him. They're great snakes. I like Lake Chapalas, but they're too big for that like best garter snake pet. I
Yeah.
think, which is why the checkers I think should have it. But yeah, so but also Eastern garters. Most of my collection is Eastern garters. I probably won't sell my Cochrane District Flames. I'm the only person in the world with them right now. For as much as these people are charging for Quebec Flames, they're
That's
just
crazy.
it's
Yeah.
insane. Like I just don't understand
And
what
then you
happened.
think about it is like most people also like you'd be purchasing more than one garter snake.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're charging $500 for one garter snake and the person wants like a colony, not even to breed them, just to keep them together, they're looking into like 2 grand
Thousand,
for a little group
yeah,
of
thousands of dollars
garter snakes.
of Eastern
That's
garter
like
snakes.
yeah, like and that's crazy. And yeah, you're right. Like the common everyday native species here are not like I mean, besides Western hognose, which are now like
Mm-hmm.
illegal where they're native, they're not really sought after. Whereas you get the US
Yeah,
and people still go crazy over Arizona mountain kings and they could go outside and find them, but you don't see that has died down. I've got the gray banded king snake. Like I said, she's waiting any day for her to lay eggs. They'll be my first gray banded king snake babies.
oh nice.
And gray banded king snakes I've always seen kind of sit in the $100 to like $250 range. In my mind, I think that's perfect. They are such a small, docile, easygoing king snake that I think should take the place of a lot of the Brooks and California kings that just get massive and hungry and eat everything. Um, but I'm like seeing, like, I go and look on Morph Market. Okay, like what can I like reasonably list some offspring for in Canada? And here I'm scrolling through Morph Market and seeing gray banded king snakes in the upper thousands, and I'm like, you're off your rocker. I don't care what morph or locality this is. A gray banded king snake is not worth $3,000.
Yeah.
And in my mind, when you get into the like leucistic gray banded king snakes, it just looks like a normal like Lucy rat, like all of the other leucistic animals. It doesn't look like a gray banded king snake anymore, so I don't see the appeal in it. But
Yeah.
teach their own. I think like some species, the lower they stay, the more accessible they are, and the more people who can experience them without it being like ridiculously out of budget.
Yeah, I think there is, a philosophical way to say, like obviously an animal's worth whatever you're willing to pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
I've overpaid for animals willingly and whatever. But like I see like the only garter snakes I've seen that I think are paired decently in Canada right now are most of the chapalas because they're priced super low,
Mm-hmm.
um, and Tetratania, the San Francisco garters. People are selling them for around $400 or $500. I think that's fair.
Mm-hmm.
It sucks that they're as inbred as they are, but like for what they are, like they're beautiful snakes that people want.
Yeah.
A lot of these other ones though, like the Radix and the Easterns especially boggles my mind. Like, and it's on one hand, like I said earlier, like I understand markets change and go up and down, but like, man, I know that you guys ain't selling those fucking snakes. I know it.
I mean,
You
the
will
last few
not
expos
convince
where
me
I've seen
otherwise.
garter snakes for sale, I don't think any move off the tables.
No, only a
But I can
handful for
also
sure.
I can also attribute it to a lot of people don't realize how much your display at an expo matters.
Yeah,
Um, we work really hard to make our expo display very open and bright and welcoming so people can see the animals without having to like pick up containers or anything like that. So that makes a huge difference. But a lot of times we are marketing to hobbyists like and beginners, and the worst thing I can think of is someone settling for something that is not right for them based on something as silly as like something overpriced. Like I said, settling for a green iguana instead of a Fiji iguana because it was out of budget. People don't make that, like, they don't think about it. So
yeah,
if they see a California king snake and the California king snake is $80 and they see a garter snake and that's $500, they're going to get the California king snake, and they may only have the resources to care for a garter snake. So it's
yeah.
one of those like, I don't know, damned if you do, damned if you don't. It's a double-edged sword.
I'll tell you what. In the next few years, I'm going to piss a lot of people off with my prices. That's all
I
I'm
mean,
going to say.
that was my goal with the leucistic hognoses. It's like I'm getting these right now. They're obscenely priced for what they are, and I plan to sell them for like $300 because that's where
I
I think
can't.
they should sit.
I feel like I can hardly find normals for like $300 for hog noses. I
I'll be
to be fair,
selling
I haven't
I'll be selling
looked.
normals pretty cheap
I
when I
haven't
have
looked in
the
a while,
babies.
but like when I was like, I want a normal hog because those are my favorite. Right? This is
They're
years ago.
super cool.
They're fucking awesome, and I had a really hard. I had a hard time finding them because it
Yes.
was all morphs, right? And then B, when I would find them, they were all hets, so their price was up really high, and I was kind of like, I don't want to pay for hets. I don't want to breed it. I just want a hog nose,
Yeah.
and so I kind of
I got a lot of people looking for just a normal hog nose, no hets. Unfortunately, a lot of my stuff does have hets, but if you're
of
looking
course,
for a normal hog nose, I'll sell a normal hog nose at a normal price, and you can ignore the hets. Like,
yeah,
unfortunately, that's just kind of what they're coming with. But I have plans to just pair normal and normal to get normals because I
yeah,
freaking love them. I don't care
they're
if
awesome.
people think they're not valuable because they're normal. Um, but yeah, I like the morphs because the morphs. I am not a huge morph person, but I think the genetics can be fun to play with.
Hmm.
But at the end of the day, like I think the normals are cool as shit. So
Oh yeah, they're
um,
really awesome.
that's why the hognose, we've got the house snakes we have are some morphs, but I'm mainly trying to focus on polygenic traits to see if I can make them look like a granite berm.
Nice. That'd be
So
cool.
the house snakes are really cool in terms of being a small, indestructible, great beginner colubrid and python behavior. They act a lot like an elapid with the way they bounce around, and it kind of freaks me out at first too. I'm like, oh my god, that's kind of crazy. But they've never musked, they've never bitten. And even though I got some genetics mixed in with the house snakes, truly at the end of the day, I just want to have like fun to see how I can make them look without touching any morphs. Because why not? At that point, you get a fun little project like that. We're not breeding for conservation of house snakes or anything. So at this point, can I make a house snake with no morph whatsoever look like a granite berm? Because I've always wanted a
Yeah.
granite berm, but I'm not buying a berm.
My I'll try to make this the last I bring it back to the garters there with these flames. They I have two unrelated litters of this locality, and because they're so like variable, they all look different, right? And I have a bunch where their dorsal stripes are super tiny, so I kind of want to see if I can get rid of the dorsal stripe because it's like flame is, is polygenic as well. It's not a morph as much as it's just
The
it's a
polygenics are more
wild thing.
fun than people kind of place, because as soon as once a genetic comes out, everyone's like, oh my gosh. But then at
Yeah,
that point, people forget that you can work with and line breed to a point where you get something so unique that it's not something everyone else has, because you
yeah,
actually you see the rewards of your work. It's not as simple as pair one and one and get the result. So to me, like the polygeny stuff is so cool because it's the results are your work. Like
yeah.
whatever you put into it is what you get out of it, and it's going to be your own thing. I tried to do a line breeding with some hognose, but didn't seem to be. It didn't pass down like I had hoped.
Okay.
So I kind of like dropped it because it just was leading nowhere. I kept a lot of the babies. It was just like the reverse stripe pattern on them, so they had no
Mm,
spots and just the stripe down the middle. Um, and I kept two that have it. I love them, but I couldn't get it to replicate consistency. So
hmm.
at that point, I'd rather breed normal hognose.
Yeah, it is fun to experiment with that stuff for sure.
Yeah, so the house snakes are interesting because I see a lot of different, like they vary so much in the pattern, and I think that's like super super cool. And I think they're great snakes, great beginner snakes. They are one of the softest snakes I've ever touched, which no one had really told ever mentioned it. And then I held a house snake for this first time, and I wondered why they were so soft.
Yeah,
But I love them. They're very iridescent, soft, easygoing, eat every time. Unlike the hognose, they don't have any venom, so I feel more comfortable if I was to sell them to someone younger, because even though hognose are great beginner snakes, people overlook that it just because it's rear fang venomous does not mean it's a bee sting. And I'm very tired of people saying, "Oh, if you get bit by a hognose, it's like a bee sting," because there's no correlation besides ouch. And other than that, you let a hognose chew on you for 10 minutes, you can be in rough shape. I've seen some real people in rough shape from a hognose bite. And of course, people, oh, it's an allergy, but it's not an allergy. It's a venomous snake that has bitten you and you've been envenomated. So, when it comes to young kids and stuff, and you don't know when there's a parent watching, if you get a 10-year-old that handles their hognose, it thinks their finger's food, bites it. Kid doesn't know how to get it off. Now we're looking at a kid who's in trouble.
yeah.
So I worry about that more with hognose because they're just so food motivated. So like a couple of them, I'm just like, okay, well, I got to watch my fingers because man, they just love to eat, which is great, but is also like make sure you know how to get a hognose off before you buy the hognose. And then
Imagine
when you have a
that.
hognose, you need to know how to get it off your finger before your hand becomes a balloon.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'll hammer
Being
that. I'll hammer that home. Like it's. I mean, hognose are illegal in several provinces. So with the house snakes, I don't have to worry about the legalities and the younger kids who really want a pet snake.
I think a house snake is one of those weird kind of like they're not like super uncommon, but I've never encountered one. Like I've never worked with them.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah. It
even know if
was
I've seen one in person.
we saw our first ones really with when we went to visit Garrett Hartle at Reach Out, and because he's got a massive house snake collection. So that was like Opened a few wild caught ones and ones from Europe long ago with Ashley, and they were
Hmm.
always a disaster to unpack, and my only experience with them was just brutal. But once I interacted with like captive bred Cape house snakes, specifically capes, not the Phleganosis or the Fradii, um, they don't bite, they don't musk, even though they twitch and jerk around, which kind of like sketches you out because like I see that with like dry mark on and like elapids. So, but other than that, you can just grab them. They don't really react. And then once you hold them for a little bit, they calm right down. They'll sit in your hand. They'll cruise around, and I think that's perfect. And they're so small and adapted to so many environments that they'll be. We keep ours humid. We keep some dry, and they just seem to not really care. Like they're just happy-go-lucky. Unlike a hognose, where if you screw up enough, it's just nah, don't want to eat.
Yeah. Do you think, and maybe this sounds weird, do you think house snakes are not as popular as maybe they deserve to be because they have the word house in the name?
I think they are not as popular as they deserve to be because everyone's only experience with them was wild caught black house snakes, the Phleganosis,
Hmm.
which are tend to be more piss and vinegar, will only eat live, they're picky eaters, they crash. And a lot of people had problems with the black house snakes, so I think people just wrote off house snakes as a whole. Like just house snakes, all of them, all of the Boydon. Don't want them. They're terrible. They're picky eaters. Um, and my guess comes from the gray banded king snakes because I think those are the best pet king snake ever. But people tell me, oh, I don't want a gray banded king snake because they're picky and they only eat lizards. But if you're not hatching a baby king snake, by the time I sell it to you, it won't be eating lizards. The three that I've got have never refused a meal a day in their life. Like they'll eat a lizard, they'll eat a frog, they'll eat a rodent. It does not matter. But I can't get people onto gray banded kings because everyone thinks they are really hard to take care of and they're picky, which stems from wild caught gray banded kings and babies, like fresh babies. So I'm just applying that logic to the house snakes and a lot of other things. I don't want it because it's picky. So
Yeah.
it's a guess, total shot in the dark.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds a lot smarter than my guess, which was because they have house in the name. I just like if for me
And
before I learned about house snakes, I would hear something like, especially when I was younger, house in the name, and I'm like, oh well, it's like something common
oh,
in the
it's like earwigs. Like you hear
yeah,
that and you're just like, ugh, but
yeah.
they're not in your ears. I follow. I joined a African snake identification page on Facebook,
Oh
and I
yeah,
swear it's like at least one post a day of a house snake in someone's house. So I can see why they're named that.
makes
Um,
sense.
it's very common. It's always what is this snake? It's in my closet.
What is
Um,
this snake in my house? You're
and it's
not
it's
gonna believe this.
Africa, so you never know. I
That's
like to say
true.
that the group is mostly Phylothamnus, the bush snakes. It's mostly those in really strange predicaments, being considered a mamba. Um, so I've been collecting a collection of photos of people thinking they're mambas, but using like salad tongs to grab them. And I have like a ton of photos, people grabbing bush snakes with salad tongs.
Yeah, I mean, it's better than a shovel, I guess.
Yeah, like
Some
I'll give him
salad
props. You picked it up with salad tongs to ID it, but uh,
Yeah, that is
I
too
say
funny. So
as we're about to be dark very soon, as in now.
okay, so we can start closing out. I do want to ask before we do. Do you have any projects on the horizon you want to talk about that you're excited about?
I think I babbled about quite a few of them, honestly. The Bumblebee
Okay,
Toads,
good.
I'm hyped for. The Gray Banded Kings, any day. And honestly, these Gonyosoma oxycephalum at some point.
Yeah, yeah,
The
yeah.
red tailed green rats.
Well, in that case, now that you're getting blacked out here, do you want to promote whatever you'd like to promote before we sign off here?
Yeah, you can follow me at Breezexotics and my name Bree, which is a little bit of a different spelling of Bree, and the Jungle Vault on Facebook, Instagram, and yeah, I think that's pretty much Mike Taitula on YouTube. That's
Nice.
where you can see all of our babies, all of our animals, reptile room videos. So we share all of it. So if you're looking for whether you're something to buy or just looking to see what we have, his YouTube is the place. We post everything on Morph Market. If you're in Canada, sometimes Kijiji, but I recommend to all Canadians just go to the Morph Market. I've got a crystal clear all capitals banner to just send me a message if you're interested in something and you're in Canada. You'll get like a crazy discount off the Morph Market price. So yeah, the Jungle Vault Morph Market, Instagram, Facebook, and then Breezexotics on Instagram.
Awesome. Have you ever had anybody from the States message you and be like, what the fuck? Why don't I get the...
Yep.
Why don't I? Yeah, of course. Okay. I just had to make sure.
Yep. It's hard enough explaining to them the difference between the Canadian dollar and the US dollar. So that adds like a whole new fun feature of business. But the most common question is, why is my invoice higher in price than the ad says? Because unfortunately my invoices have to be Canadian dollars. So they think I'm scamming them and then back out on the sale.
Yeah, of course. Whatever, fuck them. All right. Well, thank you for coming on, Bree. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so you can check all of Bree's stuff in the description. Rennick, anything you want to say before we get out of here?
No, thanks for coming out, Bree. I appreciate it.
Awesome. This was a great chat.
Bye. Thank you for tuning in to Creature Crossing. Please check the description for social media links, Patreon, and more. Feel free to subscribe and leave us a review. The song used for our intro and our outro is called The Snake Eater's Palace, Outer Heaven by Audio Mocha, Anime Vivi, and Endless Repeat, which we found at ocremix.org. Thanks again for listening.